Uh, you're getting a bit flustered there, Nathan.
This is life in the fast lane. Life in the fast lane, Sean.
There we go. So, right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Face and Friel, with myself, Sean, obviously, and my co-host, the wonderful Nathan, who's given up some time. He's a busy schedule ahead of him today, so we were able to squeeze in a quick hour to talk about the latest developments in the WWE universe this week. So, greatly appreciated, Nathan, once more.
No, no problem at all. It's my absolute pleasure. Really enjoying it and enjoying all those interactions that we're getting online through TikTok and everything else. So thank you again for having me and putting up with me.
Well, likewise. So, now, folks, keep those interactions up. Make sure we're like, sharing, subscribing, and getting on the Facebook, the Instagram, trying to get up on the Twitter. That's to come, and of course our TikTok, which Nathan's doing a great job with. So we appreciate all engagements. And yeah, long may it continue. So, yeah, we're going to just kick off. We'll get into Raw and SmackDown, of course, and cover basically the fallout post SummerSlam. So we'll get stuck into Raw here. So we had our opening segment. We had Roman starting the show, of course, um, and we were just looking at then, of course, his interaction with LA Knight. So a strong way to start the show. I have a couple of notes here myself, uh, but what did you make of all this interaction? And I suppose, uh, yeah, we're going to have that long-awaited feud, or it looks like LA Knight's finally going to get that push into the main event spot. For how long, I don't know, but it's something. It's progress, which is superb. So, what was your take on that, Nathan?
I was all about this. I'm a huge LA Knight fan. I think he has very much become sort of a mouthpiece for the audience in terms of articulating the fatigue that we have of the same old plays, the same old people, Bloodline, Roman Reigns, all that, trying to rerun the whole thing. I thought I thought like his promo work's always fantastic, but I would love to know whether, because you sometimes say that he sometimes trips over words and promos, and he
Mm,
does. I would love to know whether those are promos that are very scripted. I wonder,
yeah.
does his best work come whenever, like, I may be completely wrong, maybe everything is scripted word for word, but you sort of get the feeling that his best promos are whenever he's given a wee bit of license. Like, know that, but where and this maybe it was scripted, but know that, but when he used the NATO phonetic alphabet to spell out
Mm,
"you suck," that was that was just fantastic. Like I was genuinely laughing so much, and obviously, like Roman Reigns is good promo too. Like, but LA Knight was excellent on this. It obviously shows that Roman Reigns must be listening to the show because did you notice that he gave a jab at LA Knight about the megastar wearing a Walmart watch? So he must have been listening to
mm.
your rant a few weeks ago whenever you were criticizing LA Knight's attire and his clothes and everything.
Aye, that's right. Yeah, I remember that now. Well, I think that's a fair point. And it's interesting. You're saying about how much of it's scripted because, I was reading stuff online and whatnot, and I do think they had creative license because even that Walmart job, that seemed. I don't think that was a Fed line either. So I do think these guys were probably obviously given somewhat of a structure and then told, listen, go and do what works for you. And it was good. Like, now the only thing I did make a note of this, like, do you think the crowd was heavily invested in this, or was it just not translating over on my Netflix account? But the pop where he was doing he was spelling out "you suck" and he was doing it like the Shield, kind of cutting the promo that way. That didn't seem to get quite the pop that I thought it was going to get. But I don't
I know
know.
what you mean. I thought he was very over though. I think whenever LA Knight came out,
Mm,
the crowd were very invested. I wonder, is it purely a very practical thing of trying to follow along with how many letters and what it actually spelled out? Like,
yeah.
because I have to admit, I had to rewind it because whenever he
Okay.
started going with, Yankee and all that. It was like, right, okay, he's using the phonetic alphabet, having to get the Shield, but he nearly finished it. And I sort of was like, hold on, I need to go back here and actually listen to what he's spelling out. So when you're a live audience, you only get one shot at it. So maybe it was
Yeah.
just that, but I thought it was very clever. Like, I thought it was very, very
Mm.
clever. I'm delighted to see LA Knight in the spot. And, you know, I wouldn't actually be against this feud elongating more than just one PLE. Like, it would actually make perfect sense in a way for the Bloodline to get involved and cost LA Knight uh, the match against Roman, considering his issues with the Bloodline. And then maybe you could elevate it then into a second PLE where it's in a steel cage or something so that you don't have any Bloodline involvement. But I definitely think there are legs in this feud, and I'm all for LA Knight being on the spot. Although
Yeah.
there's one thing I noticed, which at the very, very start before Roman even made it to the ring, where it was one of your gripes from a few weeks ago that Roman doesn't arrive with the title. Just some random
That
person gave him the
actually
title.
so annoying. Like, that's like, what is that about? Seriously though, like,
Does
I
that mean
just
that
think like,
guy, that random guy, has just been holding the WWE title for like that's in SummerSlam?
I think it's just so insulting. Like, is this guy just taking it week to week, and then what if Roman cancels for all these movies that he's not filming, like, and aren't being released? Like, does this guy to me, is this guy an interim WWE champ, like, for that week? Is that what that guy is? Like, I just think, we did a series, folks, on WWE Unreal, and there should be some videos coming out in the next week or so in regards to that. But to me, like, and I've ranted about this before, but you lose the magic, don't you? Like, when this
Yeah.
guy's just going, where's my belt? What if that guy calls in with a flu? Do they know where the belt is? Like, do you know what I mean?
It
I
would.
just think,
I know they would
I don't
edit it like in post, but wouldn't it be so funny if one of these days when he's handing the belt, Roman like misses it or something, and the belt
know.
drops? Like,
Or like, what if this guy is like, you know what? Like, I'm not getting paid enough for this nonsense, and he hands them, like, I don't know, like a hardcore title, or like the cruiserweight title, or what was the 24/7 or the twenty
uh,
four hour?
the Speed Championship wasn't there, and all this sort of
Aye,
stuff.
just gives them that. Like, would Roman even notice? Like,
What would actually be hilarious would be if those things sort of happened and there was no rhyme or reason to it, and then we actually found out that Danhausen had cursed the guy,
aye,
and he's bringing like the wrong equipment or whatever. He like brings I don't know, some random belt or whatever. He gives him like the TNA World Championship or something.
aye, just something like that. Like, that would be brilliant. Like, I would love to see that. Like, but I suppose. Aye, this is good. Like, this is positive. I think this show generally things are moving in the right direction. Personally, with some of the stuff that we were doing, uh, and then to even build on, there was a match, of course, before or afterwards with Javon and Ethan Page, but we got another segment. Remember, of Roman,
Yes, yes.
and the Bloodline, which was interesting.
What did you make of that? I thought there was one really important line in that, which sort of shows you how the Bloodline are just they're essentially like the stormtroopers in Star Wars, like. But
Hmm.
well, what did you think of that whole segment, like?
I thought again, LA was the star of this, wasn't he? Like,
Yeah,
do you know when he was doing his like pump fake to the Sus and stuff? I
yeah.
thought that was really good. But what was the line that stood out to you?
There was the
That you
line
were.
when Roman was talking about Solo, and obviously how they lost to Solo and LA Knight and Royce Keys at SummerSlam, and Roman said, Solo should be on my hip, and then where's my coffee? But he mimicked it in terms of
Oh, that's right.
the insinuation was obviously if Solo was here, he should be right here on my hip, and he should be getting my coffee. But the implication of that is that these guys are just gophers, which is exactly what LA Knight has been calling them, and exactly what we've been calling them. So um, I don't think it does them any favors. Like,
No, no way. Like, and he's not viewing them as peers and equals. Like, as you
yeah,
say, like, it does them no favors whatsoever, and just makes them look like schmucks. And even we had an odd end to the show where we had
yeah,
Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio are conversing, and this is going to now result in a AAA tournament, and the winner of that tournament is going to face Roman Reigns. And essentially, from what I've read online, this is to sort of, because AAA is going head to head with AEW for viewers on whatever this pay per view or this show is. So they're essentially looking for some star power to sort of give them the edge over the competition, which I'm all for. I think that's positive. Um, but even the way Roman came out after the Jacob Fatu and Royce Key street fight, which we will get into a wee bit too, I just thought like, oh, like honestly, like Jacob, you need to like you were, it reminds me of like Kane, when he was facing the Undertaker in WrestleMania 2004. He had a great line in his the before match vignette where he said, "My brother was a monster, and then he became one of you."
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it feels like. Jacob was a monster. He was a werewolf. Like he had like almost supernatural levels of insanity, and now he's went from the werewolf to the Jack Russell, hasn't he? Like
Not even a
he's
Jack Russell. He's like a Bichon Frise or something like.
he's just like the Yorkshire Terrier. What was
Do
he?
you
The
mean
Samoan werewolf? Is that his nickname?
Samoan werewolf? Yeah.
Now he's like the Samoan, Yorkie. Like it's
I think the
ridiculous.
problem as well is that it doesn't fit within the narrative because the narrative that's sort of been playing out over the last few weeks since Jacob lost tribal combat to Roman is that Jacob, because he lost that, he has to pledge allegiance to Roman, but he doesn't really, he's not fully invested in it,
Mm,
as invested as the Usos anyway. And he's sort of doing things because Roman's telling him he has to do it, and he knows he has to obey Roman, but he's not a full believer, if that makes
yeah.
sense. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that Roman came out and sort of gave him the stamp of approval for that victory over Royce Keys, it sort of would suggest that Jacob was looking for Roman's approval. So there was a wee bit of a continuity issue there, I think, within Jacob's character. But um, let's hope the Bloodline are gone forever.
I know. Fingers crossed. Like it's like just when you think you're out, they come back again. Like
Like they had
they're
three
just like
segments of the show. If we include Roman as part of the Bloodline, we had like
yeah.
the opening segment, that promo where he was talking about Solo and LA Knight, and then Jacob obviously in that match, which is actually three, and then Roman coming out after the match. So you could say they were involved in four things throughout the show. Like,
No, and they're getting their claws into everything. Like, and it's just not good. Like, now I know we're not running through this chronologically, folks, but it's just kind of I'm striking here while the iron's hot. But this like even this main event match,
mm,
like this was just really like. Do you know what was really annoying me? Did you see the way like Jacobs going? Is it the Tongan death grip or Samoan death grip or the Polynesian death grip? Even the way he jumped, like I think it was the finish where he hits the moonsault and stuff, and
yeah,
then he jumps with the death grip. The way he does it's just so corny, and it just looks, it almost takes away from, how we're meant to suspend our belief. Like
yeah.
this is just like you're like, I just roll my eyes at this. I'm like, this looks so corny.
Well, do you know what the problem with a finish like that is? I believe is the fact that you know you don't need a large window of opportunity to hit this Tongan great death grip. So like the first time Jacob like slams Royce or something, why doesn't he just put it on then?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense for you to wait until like the very end to put it on. There's other moves or say particularly like the moonsault, like he can't hit that if Royce is rolling about or whatever. And again, we suspend our disbelief. But with something like that, the Tongan death grip, it's like first time Jay or like Royce is like lying on the floor looking a bit discombobulated. Why isn't he just putting it on then? Like,
I 100%. Like it's just I don't know. It was a decent match and all, and I like to see Royce getting a bit of TV time. But this
I
is
thought it was a
something
good
like
match. I thought it was
I
chaos,
I
like in the
was
best possible way.
But you know what? Like, it felt a bit like short notice. Like
Oh,
that
absolutely.
could have been a Saturday night main event match, or even like a minor pay per view or PLE, whatever you want to call them matches. And there could have been a bit of a build. Like this was just very sharp and impromptu, and
And also why? Because here's the thing, like Royce Solo and LA beat the Bloodline. So surely like these guys are now in the back mirror. They're in the
yeah,
back burner for these guys. But no, of course, you know, the Bloodline still have to come back. Like surely Royce and LA and Solo should be moving on to bigger and better things now that they beat the Bloodline. Like.
I know. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. I want to give a mention. We don't because I am conscious of time. Um, there's a few things, right. I have two. Another thing you need to remind me of, that I'm going to have going a rant about. But we had the Javon Ethan Page match, which
Yep.
was very good. I thought it was really really good. Um,
Is this
you
the
know,
first time Ethan Page has had the opening match on Raw?
could be.
Which I
I would
think is
imagine so.
significant. Because I know they always
I,
normally open with a promo, but I think being involved in the opening match, I think that is significant, and I'm really glad to see it because, I like Ethan Page. I think he's never dropped the ball anytime they've given him time to actually do something, but normally they don't give him time.
yeah, and but do you know what? My only issue with Ethan Page, like, is we still don't really know who Ethan Page is. Like, what is his USP? To me, like, this guy's like, he is El Generico. Like, he is the generic indie wrestler. Like, and like, he took the loss here. I'm like, is this guy just a jobber? Like, is he like just there now to enhance talent? I think, it's just, I don't know.
You hope not, like because I do think it was a good match, and I thought there were
A
some
very
good,
good.
really good moments of like heelish behavior from Paige. Like there was a point where Javon was going to go for a springboard and Paige sort of lunged and hit the rope. They put him off balance and stuff. I love stuff like that. I think it probably was the longest match of Paige's career since he's been on Raw, singles match anyway. But tell me this: what did you make of the finish? Because I've got a brief opinion on that. Like
So,
it was the
uh,
super cutter. Was it like Paige
off the
was
top, is it?
remonstrating with the referee and Javon jumped over Paige and the
Ah, that's
referee and
right.
then
Yeah.
hit the cutter from the top rope? Like.
Um, Listen, I think he has a great cutter. And you're probably not necessarily. I'm not answering your question per se, but I do have an issue of like everybody using the cutter now. Especially now that we kind of have Kevin Owens, who is his. I know it's a stunner essentially, but um, there was nothing that's really jumping out. I probably have a blind spot here, but what was the thing for you?
Look, I'm a huge Joan Evans fan, and from what I see of Ethan Page, I really like him. I think he needs time to develop his character with promos, but I'm a fan. The thing that it's obviously a great finish, right? But on the replay and even live, Ethan Page had to really wait for it.
Uh,
Like he looked like a bozo, like because he had to
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
you know. And that's one of the issues with that, and even like Soul Ruka's little Soul Snatcher, like, and when Cody does the cutter and stuff, it's like unless it's very tight in terms of they're nearly on the springboard whenever the opponent is still only on one knee, and then
Yeah.
just as the opponent gets up to their full height, they get hit with it. Otherwise, it sort of looks like the opponent's just waiting for it, and you're like, why
Mm.
didn't you just move out of the way? Like,
Which is interesting because when you look at a move like the RKO, it's a complete. Although it's essentially the same move, the way it's delivered is
yes,
polar opposite, and then the sharpness and the quick turnaround, I suppose, in which it's delivered, which is listen. That's why Randy Orton's the guy. Like, do you know what I mean?
I've got thoughts on that later, and you know how much of a Randy Orton mark I am.
Right. So the other thing, okay, well, we have Big Cass now. To be fair, looking great. Like just to the absolute gills. Don't really need to see him. To be honest, because there's a few things right. One, and to be fair, Corey Graves acknowledges like why Javon like, and even when he was interviewed backstage, we still didn't really get a clear answer as to why Javon. But we know this is just going to set up Enzo. What's going to happen, right, is this goes flat. This goes so flat, and people don't care. And then they're like, right, we need to sign Enzo back. And then he comes in, and then it's just like,
Is he still active? Like, oh,
Enzo?
yeah.
Listen, I'm not, to the best of my knowledge and from what I've heard and read online, he is still wrestling and he wants to return to the company, because apparently he's been cleared of any wrongdoing or any allegations. So I think his name is clean at this moment in time. Listen, folks, if I've spoken out of turn here, I'm just going what I've listened to other podcast clips. The issue WWE had with him is he wasn't reporting the crime or whatever, the
Yeah.
incident that occurred. So he could come back, like, essentially. And I think if there is an opportunity, I could see WWE capitalizing on that, like, because
Do we like the thing is, do we really need that though? Whenever there's guys like American Alpha, who just like are not getting any TV time, like
yeah, they're just I don't know what they're doing, twiddling their thumbs, like,
Fraxium have a match like once every
Fraction.
4 months, like.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think he looks great, to be fair. And I thought his promo backstage was okay, but like, I don't know. It's just not that exciting, is it? Like,
No, not at all.
but
Although speaking of how things look, did you notice during the Roxanne Sol Ruka match that the Judgment Day came out to Love Morgan's music? I thought that was weird because it
that's
wasn't like it
interesting.
was a Judgment Day set. I know it turned into a Judgment Day
Or a love
promo,
match,
but
like,
it wasn't actually a Judgment Day discrete segment. It was a Roxanne match, and
yeah,
I do think it's really important that like each of these competitors in the Judgment Day have their own music, and then when they're competing as the Judgment Day, they can come out to the Judgment Day
yeah,
music
yeah,
because I just think it's important for us as fans to know their music so that it becomes recognizable. Like I don't know Roxanne Perez's music. I know she used it a few weeks ago, like when she was out
yeah.
for a match, but I just thought that was interesting. But what did you make of the match, and then probably important long term the aftermath?
Okay, so listen, we can. I'll get into it. I just want a quick, like, give me 30 seconds. I'm watching the timer here, right? So there's this thing called Get Active Kids that they were trying to promote, right? And the heels were helping out, and you have Cody right beside Maxine. And like, I just think for public appearances, especially around children, why are they having heels go and support these causes? It's like, what's going on? Like, especially if you're trying, like, I'm not one of these guys protecting the business, but I know if I was a kid here and I'd be looking at the heels associating with the faces, you're kind of, again, you're just peeling back the magic, and that was just a quick one. That was like really annoying. Like, what's that about? Like, seriously?
What would be Bret Hart's opinion on it?
He'd be fuming. I'd say Bret Hart, if he sees a heel and a face getting in an Uber together, he's having, another stroke. He's just going absolutely berserk. Like, I just think that's so stupid. Like, I just thought
I
it was really bad.
Because there's one of those there's this thing as well where like you can work it like
Mm-hmm.
in ways where it can still make sense. Like you could have heels there and they can be really nice to the kids, like, but you could have them together. Like you could have the
Mm-hmm.
Judgment Day there, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and you could have like Roxanne and JD and Dominic and all being like lovely with the kids, and it sort of still makes sense. No, they don't. It doesn't actually break character in a sense because
Mm.
they have no feud with the kids, like.
But I just think, like, the thing is, Maxine's not a big enough star to justify it either. Like, if this was like a Liv Morgan, I'd be like, okay, I can get behind this. But I just think when there's so many faces that they could be using for these causes, I don't know. It just doesn't really. That's just a small one. But listen, we'll move on. Do you know what? This was interesting. The Judgment Day stuff. It I think this was like the biggest segment of the show. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, you're usually good with the time. Did you time this from like start to finish? No?
Well, the match itself was 8 minutes
Yeah.
between Roxanne and Soul, and then to be honest, I don't actually have the time after that, but I would say it was probably another like 6 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, it
It maybe
felt
eight.
significant. Like, it could have been another eight. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. And um, I
But
thought
very,
this was
but very deserved though. I think if they'd cut any of this, it would have felt very rushed.
yeah, no, 100%. I think it was completely justified. And um, it was interesting. I'm looking at my notes. To be honest, my notes for this were all over the place because there was just so much going on. Like, I thought it was very very good. It was a good match to give significant time. There was a couple of really good sequences. Like, these are two superstars that are on the come up, of course, but like I thought they were just. You can see like they've that energy or and passion and sort of desire to be the best and make their way in the business was sort of radiating off them.
Mm.
There was a great spot. That ab stretch. There was
Yeah,
like an ab that was really good, and the way
yeah.
they rolled out of it, it was just. I thought they were very, very good together. Between Sol Ruka and Roxanne, and yeah, I was just really, really impressed by it.
She could
But
be the greatest ever. Like,
well, this is your take, like. It was good. Like, is there anything that's sort of jumping out to you whilst I sort of scan through notes here?
you'll be very pleased to hear this because I think that you tacitly think I have an agenda against Ulrika, and
I
I
do,
don't.
I do.
Um, I was so pleased to see a more aggressive side during this match. I thought it was
Yeah,
noticeable. There was less acrobatics, less sort of high flying. There was still a portion of that, but it's not like every second move. And there was that point when knowing she had Roxanne on the German suplex, like this
mm-hmm.
was really, really positive. I was really pleased to see this more aggressive, gritty side to Solrika. And look, I think Roxanne's fantastic. They're obviously teasing her turn, and obviously Wade Bart referenced the fact that Liv Morgan talking about Raquel being her best friend and Roxanne just being her prodigy and all this sort of stuff. But I love the fact it's a slow burn, this eventual breakup of the Judgment Day. So yeah, look, I'm all for this, and like I think I've never seen a bad Roxanne match. Like I think she's so good, like for somebody so young.
Do you know what I thought was going to happen too? When Liv was cutting this promo, I believe at the start about no one, basically no one in the women's locker room was going to is capable of standing up to her and
Mm.
whatnot. Like, I thought that was the perfect time. Now, to be fair, Black Monroe could be on SmackDown, but I just thought, like, jeez, this could be the moment. Like, Black Monroe is like, takes her opportunity. Because
But
like,
Blake
where is
Monroe's
Black
going
Monroe?
to feud with Lyra Valkyria. I don't think you. Thing is, you haven't said this on air. It was off air, but maybe the listeners. I think the listeners would actually want to hear that. I think you unpacked it very well. How a feud between those two would actually work well. P.S. It's slightly worrying that Lyra hasn't been on TV really since she beat Bailey. Like.
What did I book a Lyra Blake match?
Yeah, you were saying it would just be fantastic. You were saying about this sort of
Do you want it would work? Yeah.
grungy version of Lyra, and you were saying like
Mm.
you just want to see her just sort of eviscerate Blake Monroe on the mic. Like.
Well, that would be quite good actually. I do like seeing the juxtapositions, and I always think about the high school dynamics. And I don't know. I have a soft spot for the the underdog, I suppose, but the overlooked kid standing up to the Mr. or Mrs. Popular, So, but no, like the big thing then, I suppose we had Becky who returned. I thought she cut a very good promo. I know a lot of it was edited out
Oh, was it?
post. The line about Dominic Mysterio has been cut from um, Netflix
Oh,
apparently.
right.
So, and do you know what was so funny? Becky's impression of Liv
Yeah.
was superb. Like, it was good hearing her doing that sort of American accent, like, because She's got a, what would you call it? Like she's got a bit of a transatlantic accent, doesn't she? At times, like,
Uh,
but I thought it was so funny. Thought Liv's rebuttal was very good as well. Um, and
you love an impersonation, like you were
I
all
do.
about the LA Knight one last week as well. You love an impersonation, like.
Do you know when it's done well, it's absolutely hilarious. And do you know sometimes when it's done terribly, it's also hilarious. Like, and it's just so it's so petty, isn't it? Like, it's so petty and
Mm.
like so personal. It's great. Like, um, but it's good to see Becky back. And now we're going to sort of, I suppose, see more of her, which is good and positive. It's funny. Like, I meant to tell you this, but my mum was listening whilst I was watching it, and she basically went on a rant about Liv Morgan being so annoying, and she was like, just saying like, how can you listen to her? She is so annoying. I'm like, she's obviously unbelievable at her job. That's the whole point and
Yeah,
purpose. Um, but mum was like, no, I can't stick that. I can't stick that.
which is exactly the emotion they're going for, like.
100%. And listen, is there anybody better than her at it? Like,
In terms of the character work, she's out of this world. Like, I
oh,
thought,
she's so
as you
good.
said about Becky's promo, I thought she had some cracker lines. Like, no one she referred to sort of factual stuff, like Morgan hasn't defended the belt in 100 days, to then sort of very snippy stuff like you're nothing but a glorified valet, and then sort of more sort of bridging between the two when she was saying you should be fighting, not flirting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just really good lines, and then like she's so smart. You know, if I know that Seth and Becky have children, if they choose to go into the business, they're going to be like super. They're going to be like
Yeah.
super athletes. Like both of them, Seth and Becky, are just so intuitive and smart and astute and erudite when it comes to wrestling. Like, and knowing how she sort of flipped that catchphrase that she had that when she was a heel about Bleacher Report saying it and all that, she
Yeah,
said,
yeah, that was
and
great.
everyone's saying it rather than saying, and Sports Illustrated saying it and all that. So when she said that they love, she goes, it's not just me saying it, everyone's saying it. I thought that was a lovely evolution of that sort of catchphrase. So look, great to see her back. Um, yeah, looking forward to this. This will be great, like in terms of the build as well as the match.
Yeah,
Special
and
mention, obviously, Stephanie Vicaire returned as well. Like.
which was, that's what was so not shocking about this segment, but there was so much to this. Like, do you know what I mean? Then we got Stephanie back, and it's great to see her return, as you say, and yeah, that sort of division, is really starting to hot up essentially, and uh, there looks like there could be some real momentum building and being generated now, moving into our later pay per views, and I suppose the the last quarter of the year essentially. So, and the autumn and winter. So I thought it was really good. Um, and you know what, like, they are stars. The Judgment Day, everything they touch between the men and the women is just really good. And yeah, I'm all for this. Like, we've spoke about it, and they're obviously flirting with breaking them up, but you know, if we're getting segments like this, I won't complain too much. That's for sure.
I know that we
So,
sort of said we could spend an hour on Raw and 10 minutes on SmackDown,
mm,
but just one thing before I move on to SmackDown. Thought it was nice that there was an on-air mention of the fact that Lillian Garcia has now been with WWE for 27 years.
that's right.
Isn't that
It's
amazing? Like,
incredible, isn't it? She's great.
she have to go into the Hall of Fame. Like,
100%. Like, and you're probably aware of this, but maybe some of our listeners aren't aware. Like, she was like, she sings like the national anthem and stuff before many of the shows. Like, she's just an all around like superb operator and
she's like the
professional, and
female Charles Robinson.
she is. You took the words out of my mouth there. She's just great. Like, she can do everything. Like, she's really good. But we can probably do another couple of minutes on Raw. But so we had the Braun Breaker and Opus stuff, which is really interesting. I thought that was great. personally, I think this idea, I hope this is what they do. This idea that Oba is just like, almost like Paul Heyman's infatuated with the idea of Oba and this is his next sort of prize and they're flirting with this. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't pair these two. But I do think it's good to flirt with that. Because I do think the audience is thinking that. And I think we saw great character development here from Braun. I think we saw a different side to him. I think he was very believable in his delivery. Um, Now, we spoke about this. I don't know if we need to see this feud at this moment in time, though.
Mm.
So it's an interesting one because I think everybody playing, they're played their role superbly. Like, I'd spoke to you about Paul Heyman could have been Richard III in another lifetime. He's just, even his delivery and his facials were so good. But the concern, isn't it? This Braun's going to obviously take a loss here. And we still want to protect Oba as this like dominating force. So this can't really be a 20-minute classic per se at this stage. I don't think Oba needs that. So it looks like it's going to damage Braun. To me,
Well, I think
anyways.
it could easily be
That's
just planting seeds. It might not
it
sprout
could be.
for
Yeah,
until 2027, to be honestly.
that's a good.
And the
So
other
you
thing
don't
is,
see an initial feud.
I don't know if maybe there will be. I'm not sure, but I'll tell you this, which is maybe a bit controversial. I think there's a way of doing it where Oba loses without him really being hurt.
Wow.
Like there's so many guys in the division. Like would it surprise you
Well,
if Oba lost as a result of Logan Paul getting involved, Bronson Reed getting involved, Austin Theory getting involved, Maxine Dupree stepping in front of um, Austin Theory when Oba's about to smash him or whatever. No, there are so many moving parts there that they could in a way cost him without it really hurting him that much.
yeah.
Now that might not necessarily mean a pinfall. It could be like a count out victory for Braun or something. But I
Yeah.
think there's ways of doing it where Braun could actually win without it really hurting Oba too much.
It'll be interesting, like to see how things play out. But um, what did you think about Braun's like his sort of, I suppose, characterization in the segment? Do you think
And
it was
very
good?
good,
Was it?
and I'm glad that he's getting a bit more time because at the minute in recent weeks it's been sort of Austin Theory that's been leading the charge in that regard. So I'm glad to see Braun have that time, and I think he made the best use of it. As you said, look, everyone involved in this were playing the roles expertly. Like to be honest,
Yeah, and I think like he's someone that to me is very underrated in his promo and his character work, and someone I think he's more than just a meathead who has an unbelievable spear. Maybe would you say he's got the best spear ever in WWE history?
um, I don't know. I think Edge had a great spirit. Like,
Well, tell us this: if you're in a car park and someone's running towards you, who would you rather take a spear from, Edge or Braun?
but if that's the metric, then we're saying Goldberg, like, because he's likely to
Do you
like kill you,
think?
like.
Do you
So
think?
in terms of visually, aesthetically, I think H is a great spear. I think it's probably to do with the long hair too. Like the
It is.
hair and then the flick back of the hair then after he hits it and stuff. But no, look, Braun Spears is excellent. It's the best that they have there at the minute. Like,
It's so good.
unless you want to say
I
Jey Uso's is better, who knows? Maybe you think that.
don't mention those two words to me. Hey. I just think like this guy. He's just he's great. Like I'm a huge Braun Breaker fan. I have to say. Was there anything else that was standing out to you on Raw that maybe we haven't covered there? Because I know
No,
we can get stuck into
nothing else to
SmackDown.
be honest, because I know there was no wild pile on SmackDown, but I think we'll spend a lot of time on the opening segment because I think that was
Yeah,
masterful.
yeah, absolutely. So right, we'll get into SmackDown, which listen, it's a 2 hour show. I mentioned this with 3 matches, which I just think for an audience that must be frustrating. Like unless there's a couple of dark matches, to sort of make up for it. But I just thought, geez, 3 matches is not a lot. But we had plenty of segments and plenty to talk about.
And of course,
So,
one of the matches was on the fly. So does that mean are we supposed to believe that
oh
WWE
yeah,
went
of
into the
course.
show with only two matches planned? Like,
I Well, that's true. It'll be interesting now when we talk about it in a moment. But we had it was interesting opening. So we had, of course, Cody opening the show and calling out Randy, and being very frustrated, and then CM Punk comes out and sort of planting the seeds, I suppose, for future right or a
feud.
future feud down the line. Probably something we'll see in 2027, perhaps. And then we had the Kevin Owens return as he came out and confronted Punk. Now, the only thing that's like jumping out to me in this is like one, Kevin Owens is my mouthpiece, and two, does anybody like CM Punk? Does anybody even on screen go, you know what, Punk, you're a great guy? Like, of course, Cody's maybe going to say something like along those lines, but it seems like everybody hates CM Punk. Like, this guy's just an egomaniac, isn't he?
Well, Kevin Owens called him an arrogant sociopath.
Do you know what? I couldn't have said it better myself. Like,
Well, tell me this, pardon my ignorance, what is the history between these two? Because, Wade Barrett referenced the fact that there's history between these two that we have been told specifically not to mention on air and stuff. And I know that's probably just to garner excitement, but is there real life beef between these two? Like, I'm not aware of anything. I'm completely in the dark.
to be honest, I'm not sure either in terms of how publicly known it is. Maybe it's not something that's, I suppose, discussed at length. Like, it's not like there was a feud between Punk and Triple H, or even Punk and Seth Rollins. Their fallout seems to be quite well, or like Kevin Owens and Jim Cornette.
Mm.
If you know, you know. But to me, I would imagine it's something to do with Ring of Honor, of course. And I could imagine, like, whatever sort of arrogance Punk possesses now in his WWE tenure, I could imagine he was way worse in Ring of Honor, where he was, the creme de la creme, like he was the main man there, like, So I would imagine it links back to that. But Kevin Owens says it how it is. They're both cut from the same cloth. And I could imagine him not being shy about voicing his frustrations.
I thought this
Around
segment
this.
though was fantastic.
It
From the
was, yeah.
Cody stuff at the start and him having an ode to obviously Dory Funk, who has passed away, to his interaction with Punk and all that. The end of Kevin Owens, I just thought it was top class. Like, I thought
Yeah.
this whole segment was top class. I love as well that Kevin Owens is similar to Seth Rollins in the fact that whenever the crowd were chanting OTC, or if they chant CM Punk, even though Seth might be the face, he has a go at the crowd. And he
Yeah.
says, there was a point a few weeks ago he said, obligatory OTC chant, obligatory CM Punk chant, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever they were chanting at Kevin Owens, you still got it. He just said, I never lost it. I love that. Like, that,
Mm.
that just because you're a face, that you don't abandon the whole character and don't become a slave to the audience. Like, I love the fact that he's very consistent in that regard. Um, Similar to LA Knight and I suppose Sami Zayn, he referenced the fact that there's a lack of number one contenders matches anymore. Like, he had to go with
Yeah.
Punk saying, "You said it, Cody. Just say when." Hold on, I just won a number one contenders match. So I love that consistency of challenging it, which gives Sami Zayn's grievances even more credence. Um, Tell me this: why was like Nick Aldis and referees and stuff surrounding the ring? Like before
I
these
don't
guys
know.
got
That was
physical,
odd.
what was
Like,
that about? Like,
it was about professionalism, wasn't it? And do you know what? That sort of like, I wonder, like, if I went back and watched sort of week by week WWE Raw circa 2004, 2006, like, was this like consistently happening where backstage producers and referees were coming out to ensure, and people, getting in between? Like, it is a bit silly, like, especially like the way Nick Aldis just kind of slid up to the ring and then left again. I was like, that's a bit odd. Like, I do agree. Like that was quite peculiar.
But Owens had some great lines in this, really great lines. Like, you know,
Mm,
when he talked about, obviously, he called Punk an arrogant sociopath. He then said, it must be lonely there on that pedestal that you've placed
mm-hmm.
yourself on. Um, you know, and then Punk had some great lines too.
I did.
What what did you make of the all the skinny fat and the fat shaming thing?
I that was
Of
quite
like, there was a
interesting.
point when Punk goes, you know, look at you, and he sort of gestured towards Owens, and I don't think he meant it, and it was not meant to be taken in a metaphorical sense. I think it was very much meant in the physical sense, like.
100%. Like, which is it is ironic, obviously, because and Punk acknowledged that too. To be fair, but it would have been great if Kevin Owens just like went completely off at that point, like, and just was like, "Oh, that's real original." You know what I mean? Like,
Do you know
because
what
it
the
does
thing
look good.
is? And if this continues, it could lead to some great debates with amongst us. Do you know what the thing is though? Like in the last 6 months, like Punk has been excellent.
No, he is good.
Like he's so good. Like he's so good. And you know those promos and the build up to Reigns, and then the promos with the Cody match, even though it was rushed together, and even in this, like he is top class. Like.
No,
And
there's no
and you know what?
debate
He's
about it.
delivering in the ring too. Like he is. Like
Mm.
he's top class. And if there are superstars that have real life beef with them, then that's only going to lead to great feuds like down the line. So
Well, that's a fair point, and I don't think that can be necessarily debated. But
go off
I
you
don't know,
go.
like,
You need a rant. Like you had one rant on Raw, now you have to go off on your SmackDown one because there's not much else on the show. Like anyway,
no. Do you know what? I think like he is a superstar in the sense of he's great promo, great in ring, but like he's just a bad person. Like, and at your core, like if you're a bad person, then I just can't inherently cheer for you. And when he's trying to portray a baby face, when at his core he's just a nasty piece of work, then I just can't get behind it. I just really, really can't. It's just plain and obvious. If he's running around, because he is a bit of a tweener, I suppose, but if he's going around as a heel and he's saying that, telling people to get to the back of the line, he's saying that he's the best in the world, then I'm a bit more, I can buy into it a little bit more. But I don't know, this idea that he's changed and he's a newfound person. Like this guy, like 10 years from now, he's born. He's trying to take on a new image and be salvated. And I just think like uh, he's just. I just know if I worked with this guy, I would despise him. I would despise him so much. Like you
do you know
know.
what the thing is though? It's funny. Like he's got. Remember a few weeks ago we said when he came back he looked a bit sluggish. Like
Mm.
if you look up since he returned, like he's got better in the ring. Like I would actually argue there's an argument to be made that CM Punk is better now than he was 15 years ago. Like
Why is that though? Like
maybe
because
it's the
I
time
would
away
agree.
so that his body isn't banged up constantly and probably had time
Mm.
to fully heal. Like
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, but he's definitely added a few things into his arsenal. Like, and maybe just the state, like, because we've seen an indie influence on sort of mainstream professional WWE wrestling, it has started or caused him to up his game. Because you at one time like he was the indie guy. Now there's a lot of indie guys. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
maybe he's just upped his game naturally, as a result and a consequence of that.
Well, do you know
But
what?
yeah,
My last word on it would be like this whole segment from start to finish was 22 minutes out of an hour, a
was it?
2 hour
Yeah,
show,
that
but I
makes
wouldn't
sense.
change a second. I thought it
No, it
was
was very
excellent.
good.
I thought it was like every single person in this was excellent, and I'm already invested to see this Kevin Owens CM Punk match.
Yeah, no, it was good. Like, and I'm just looking at my notes here. The first thing, because we kind of essentially moved into the Baron Corbin stuff, didn't we? And Trick Williams,
Yeah,
who, to be fair, Trick Williams cut a good promo, but I just wrote Baron Corbin, aka the Undertaker, you know, coming out in the motorcycle. And what was interesting, like, well, what was frustrating, listen, it was a decent match. Tricks lost. Baron Corbin's obviously used the belt there. Hasn't won clean. And of course, what we probably predicted, a couple of weeks ago, Carmelo Hayes now is going to feud with Baron Corbin. And you know what I do wonder? Well, first of all, before I go into my next point, what's your thoughts on all this? Like
I'm trying not to be unchristian, because I have nothing against Baron Corbin. I love the deep six. I know that's not his finisher, I know it's the end of days, but deep six is a great sort of signature move. But was there a need for this? The same as Big Cass. It's is there a need for this? Ricky Saints has been gone AWOL since he lost a crown jewel. The lesser spotted Nakamura finally had a promo this week.
Well, that's right, yeah.
Is there really a need for this? Who's benefiting from this, really? Because you better believe that Carmelo Hayes is going to lose this match,
100%. And it's just it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit nonsensical, but what do you think about, the only other thing, how long does Baron Corbin keep this fur belt for,
I that's the one thing I find entertaining. I think he should keep it for his whole reign,
Aye. I think I'm all for the fur belt, but it's it's
do you know what's ironic? Baron Corbin, and he is good in the ring, there's no doubt about it that he's very good. But his best stuff was whenever he was pretending to be homeless. Whenever he was Happy Corbin and he was a millionaire, and then he lost it all. It was I didn't know he had that sort of comedic range in him, and they see him go back to this character. It feels like a regression,
Regression. Well, listen, things could evolve for him, but I just see and thinking about what's making links to Big Cass. I see now Big Cass going into a three-way feud with Javon and Ethan, and I see the same now for Baron, Carmelo, and Trick. It's just
and then Rusev, he's just thrown aside,
Aye, it's just what's going on here, do you know? So we can move on because there wasn't much significance in that regard.
What do you make of the Sami KO confrontation backstage?
I thought it was good, yeah.
Sami Zayn's costing KO this match against CM Punk, isn't he?
And then we're obviously going to get a Sami Zayn Kevin Owens feud eventually.
Again.
Somewhere this side of, or into 2027, we're getting another series of matches, aren't we?
Yeah. I thought something that was great about this was whenever Sami Zayn, and he's so good, in terms of his promos in recent weeks and months. When he says, and he's saying it so contritely, but it's nearly childish the way he says it, to Kevin Owens, I would like an apology. Apologizes. But no, that was great. The other thing I noticed was, did you notice on Kevin Owens left bicep around his deltoid or whatever, he's always had that tattoo of the T-Rex skeleton?
Yeah.
You notice he's got a lot of shading done around that now, coloured of there's a sun and there's trees and stuff. I'm all about this, because anything with dinosaurs, I'm all for it. So this is great.
He's a fellow Taurus like myself too, of course. So, no, I'm all for that. But do you know what I thought was interesting? Just to touch on Sami Zayn, I love this Johnny Gargano stuff, the Johnny wrestling, the long-term segment. Yeah. It's just great, and I thought Sami, even his interactions with Punk there, I think were quite good. And I don't know, Sami's delivery and his promos have got better, and they've been good over the last number of months. And there's something I don't know, there is something likable about him, I have to say.
Can somebody tell me why this guy's not a face? And I don't mean that in terms of him having to change anything. Why are people booing him? Like,
booing
everything
them,
he's
like
saying is
that's what I mean.
100% valid. Like,
100%, like, and it doesn't make sense. Like, it's like, and now we cheer for Punk. Do you know what I mean? And like I, one of the things I wrote as well, you know, Carmelo's going to face Baron Corbin in Boston in his hometown, but like Carmelo's going to lose. I think we both agree on that. Like,
yeah.
Baron's going to win that match. You best believe if that was CM Punk, he's winning that match. Like, CM Punk is winning in his hometown. Like, he's winning the US title in his hometown. It's not even up for debate. Like, but I've really let loose on CM Punk tonight, I have to say. But
Yeah.
then we had the Chelsea Green stuff, and then Fatal Influence, which I think I got right this week. Uh, this was a
What
bit
about
messy, I
Chelsea's
felt.
t-shirt? Chelsea's t-shirt was fantastic.
What did it
You
say again? I
you
didn't
see that?
notice.
It said, interim women's champion, but it was the interim was X'd out, and above it
That's
it said
right.
permanent.
Well, and as we said earlier, like before, if anyone's going to get it over, it's going to be Chelsea. And Chelsea's thing too, of course, uh, the Rhea Ripley is going to be out long term. I think we're going to see her out for about 6 months. So I think it could be permanent that she's going to come in and be the permanent champion, which I'm all for.
All for, yeah.
What did you think about her taking the pin though?
Yeah, I have that noted. I think that's really not good. Like, I think,
It's really bad.
and the thing is, because Tiffany is facing Jessie Jane next week, I don't think it would have been good for her to take the pin. But absolutely not. They shouldn't have. They shouldn't beat Fatal Influence. But you could easily have had Fatal Influence. Like, they're the champions. Let them use champion, and their heels. Let them use champion advantage. Like, they could easily have won by DQ or something. Chelsea and
Mm.
Tiffany won by DQ. Fatal Influence still keep the belts. Um, I don't. I'm not in favor of your women's champion taking a clean loss. Like, it was interesting. Like, all four women were champions, which I thought was quite cool.
Mm.
Like, all
That is
four
quite cool.
competitors involved in this match were champions. Like, but I'll tell you this year, and this is obviously way down the line because I don't think they're breaking Fatal Influence up anytime soon. I would love a Fallon Henley Tiffany Stratton feud. Like, I
Aye.
think Fallon Henley's really good. Like, I know I spoke last week about how she's developing her character, even though she's not getting very little mic time with sort of the cowboy hat and like the cowboy boots and stuff that she was wearing and the jacket with the tassels. And then this week, maybe she did have it last week, but I'm only noticing it this week. She had like a necklace with tassels on it that were sort of very country vibe going
Mm.
on, like um, and then in the ring and stuff, like she's so good. I think I
Yeah.
said that I think the company are really going to push Laney Reid, but I think Fallon Henley's excellently, and
Mm.
some of her interactions in the ring between her and Tiffany, like there were some great sequences, but definitely don't agree with Chelsea taking the pin here. Like,
I know it was interesting, and like it's honestly, it doesn't. I wouldn't have worked because I think we can't see um, Fatal Influence take any more losses, and they really need to start building momentum and
yeah,
steam. But like, would you have been against Chelsea and Tiffany winning the belts? Like,
do you know what? They're so charismatic, the two of them, and know this whole them like dancing in the middle of the ring and all.
hmm,
Like, it would be comedy gold, like having the two of them as.
oh,
But I think I am again in general. I'm against the whole two belts thing. Like,
two belt now. No, it would have hurt them, especially long term. But geez, the short term pop from me would have been made it worth it. Like, you
I'll
know.
tell you this:
But
I think JC Jane's winning next week.
really,
I do. And do you know
and
what? I'm not against it.
interesting.
Like
Why is
I
that?
think I'm all for Fatal Influence. All of them having gold, like, fully in
I think
favor
she
of it.
probably does need it. Like, to be fair.
And the thing is, like, they've done nothing with Tiffany with the belt, which is just a real
Mm.
shame. Like,
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and I'm sure it'll be a great match regardless.
it
But
will be.
it no, it's interesting. So, we can get into other wee segments that we had R-Truth and Priest. There's nothing major there to me. Of
Those are the
course,
two
R-Truth
big things
was
were
quite funny.
Randy and then the Charlotte Jade. Like I
Yeah,
know you had the
so
Nakamura promo as well, which I look forward to. But in terms of major developments, I suppose we've got the Randy return and then Charlotte and Jade.
yeah, so and then we had we can just skip over the Nikki Bella promo that we had as well. Because what's
Look,
that? We've
Nikki Bell is a great heel. Like she's a natural
uh,
heel. I think
yeah,
she'll be really good in this role. I do. I think she's her best work has always been done when she's a heel.
but still, it doesn't deserve any more of our attention. So do you want the? I thought the Cody and Randy stuff was what? Do you know what? I'm just thinking about Nia Jax and Lash Legend. I just thought that was really weird.
That was so weird.
I don't get that at all. But I had to mention that because that was just really, really odd. That's why it felt messy. But, anyways, we're focusing on Cody and Randy. I thought it was good. Randy's just a class act. His promo very good. I would have liked, when, like, again, we had Nick Aldis and the producers and the refs all getting in the way. And you could see Randy was kind of chomping at the bit, wasn't he? They sort of just go off, and he was like trying to just control the voices. And I would have loved to have just seen him cause absolute mayhem and havoc there. But that's probably
Just an
something we'll probably
RKO,
see
just
later
like
down the line.
somebody for no reason. Like
I just like I don't know, yeah, RKO a fan or something like one of the 7-year-olds in the front row, like doing great. But was there anything major? I thought it was good, just generally all round. Nothing too much to focus on myself, but is there anything stand out to you about it?
I thought it was, no, I thought it was excellent. It's funny, like my dear wife was in the room with me whenever we were watching this. She had never seen Randy Orton before. Like she's not really a fan. Like, but when she was in and she just saw that segment, she was like, "Geez, he's good." Like it's funny,
It's,
this guy's just amazing. Obviously Cody teasing the heel turn again, saying I don't have to be
mm-hmm.
the good guy anymore. And I thought that line, the end up when he said, "You were the legend killer, but you're the last legend left, and who's going to kill you?" I thought that was a great
Yeah,
parting shot from Cody. Like,
it was quite good. Like, and that really, really landed too, didn't it? So,
although just one very brief thing, because I know we're running against the time here, but like, do you know like Randy Orton? Sometimes people criticize them, for his promos. Did you notice? Like, first of all, he's very quiet in his promos, but
mm,
when he was pausing, you could hear a pin drop. It really struck me. I was like, wow, the
mm,
crowd are absolutely dead silent here. Like they were captivated by what he was saying. Um, so like I'm all for this. Get number 15 and 16 for Randy Orton. Like
100%. I'd love to see it, and I think most of the audience wouldn't be against it either. And then yeah, we the main event of the match, our third match of the night, was we had Jade and Charlotte, which I actually think was a very, very good match. Really good. Couple of really good spots. Probably heavily produced this match, but worked well. And then we, of course, Alexa made her return at the end. And then, forgive me because I only finished the show about an hour ago. We had a NXT Women's Champ, former champ,
yeah,
come out
Tatum
to
Paxley.
support. Yeah, to support Alexa and Charlotte. So we know what this is leading to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is a tag match between the baddies and Jade versus this newfound trio as well. Like,
Yeah.
and this is probably going to culminate at a Saturday night main event or another pay per view coming up in a couple of months. Yeah,
No,
so
that's it. Yeah, I thought that the one spot I really liked was the sit down powerbomb from the top rope that Jade gave Charlotte. Thought that was really good. But look, grand. Um, the best part of the show was the opening. Like, thought that was excellent. Like,
mm, yeah,
it'll be interesting to see just what happens over the next few weeks. Like, I think there's definitely a realm where JC Jane wins the belt next week. Maybe as a result of Chelsea Green trying to help Tiffany. but inadvertently
Yeah.
costing her. Tiffany having a rematch at the next PLE, losing again, and then Tiffany turning on Chelsea. Like I think that could definitely be the roadmap ahead. Like, and in
Mm-hmm.
between times, Chelsea will be feuding with Nia Jax. Like,
Yeah, yeah. That's probably how they're going to set it up and deliver it. But yeah, no, two good shows. I know I'm cautious that Nathan needs to shoot, but we had a couple of big announcements this week in WWE. So number one, we had Brock Lesnar is officially retired. We spoke about him in the last couple of weeks and his feud, obviously, of Oba. Somebody that has just been an absolute superstar ever since I got into wrestling around WrestleMania 20. And yeah, what a career, what a man, what an attraction, a draw, a pull, and somebody who transcends the wrestling business and is up there with the likes of Hulk Hogan, John Cena, The Rock, Steve Austin, in terms of being a household name. Um, really, really, just a great guy, a great performer, a great guy, as Donald Trump would say. Yeah, just top man.
no, absolutely. One of definitely probably one of the top five attractions ever. In terms of in WWE anyway. Like I think you're talking The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar, and The Rock. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
John Cena as well. Like those are your top five, and for me, I think Brock's probably right up there, maybe number two. Like, but yeah. So sad to see him go, but it went in the right way. Like,
Yeah, they definitely did. And then, folks, we got a major announcement this week as well that WWE Raw is going to be coming to Dublin for its first ever show. The announcement was made by Becky Lynch and Finn Balor, who did several interviews. The one they did I watched was Today FM or News Talk, one or the other. Interesting interview. Listen to Finn Balor just talk about how proud he was of Becky Lynch when she first came into uh, wherever the wrestling school was in Dublin when she was 15 years old. And it was quite a nice moment to hear how proud he was as her first trainer and all the success she's had. But big announcement. We were obviously at a Raw in Belfast. Um, we had sort of spoke that we didn't think WWE was going to do a televised event in Ireland and for the foreseeable. But it's great news. Great that we have this.
no, do you know what? Fantastic news. I look forward to it, and yeah, do you know what? I suppose we'll chat about it in more depth the next time we're on because I am very sorry, people, but I'm gonna have to shoot here. But um,
Yeah,
uh, I know I'm delighted to hear it, and you know what? Sure, we'll be back on again. I suppose in a few weeks, like.
yeah. So be a couple of weeks break, folks. But do keep an eye out for content. And yeah, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I just want to finish this last thing, folks. If WWE are listening, uh, we need a pay per view. We need a PLE now coming to Ireland. So the sooner that's announced, we get a clash in Dublin, the better. But yeah,
Demolition
positive
and
to
Derry,
hear
here we
that.
come.
Aye, 100%. The foil rumble. Uh,
Oh,
right,
that's
folks.
okay.
We'll leave it there. See you next time.
See you later.